Hello and welcome back to DIY EV Chat for a new series, a new format, one which hopefully leaves me with less work to do finding guests because I've got 3 ready-made ones who are going to be here every time we record. Exact frequency to be confirmed, no idea yet. Maybe fortnightly, maybe monthly. We'll see if we still like each other at the end of this. And we're off to a terrible start because I've turned up 10 minutes late after Jamie phoned me because I was deep in a terrible action movie and totally forgot we were recording. So, very professional. Right, quick round of introductions because these are, well, one face at least should be very familiar to people who are interested in DIY EVs. One face looks like he's on a porn cam. But
I'll live it down. I'll live it down.
Stephen, I've just noticed that you are in your branded hoodie. Applause. That means you get to start with a quick introduction.
That's preparation.
What's your name and what have you built?
My name is Steve, and I have built an RX-8 EV with a drivetrain from a Lexus GS450 hybrid, a Renault Kangoo battery, an Outlander charger, and various other bits and pieces.
And is it on the road?
It is on the road in the sense that it is it's parked out there on the road. The last time I drove it didn't go well. Lots of pieces of the RX-8 were left on the road as I drove down, and I had to push it home. And it has not moved since, and that was about 2 months ago.
I mean, you know.
Well, since then, in my defense, I just moved into a new house, so there's been something else going on in my life. But
you have got other things to be thinking
about. I've got other
about.
things going on, yeah.
Rob, tell us about your project and yourself.
I apologise everyone for being slightly pink. I just grabbed the webcam out of the cupboard and it's been there for 10 years and it just didn't
Rob
work.
joining us live from the red light district of Amsterdam.
No, it's Bristol. Just as shady. No, Rob, I've got a MX-5 basically with a rear Outlander motor, inverter and charger and a Passat GT battery. So it's been my daily...
And on the road?
Yes, it's been my daily driver now for, must have been since the spring. It was freezing cold when I MOT'd it, I remember that. And it's now come back, it's officially electric, and despite all the efforts of sending all the stuff off to DVLA, my engine number has come back as not known.
Well, we shall come back to the DVLA. And Jamie, for those who don't know you.
Yeah, Jamie, obviously. My project was originally the Beetle that you might have. Oh, jeez, it's too late.
Famous
for me.
bug plug
that you may have seen. The bug plug. That more recently it's been Smokey Joe, the E91 with the Lexus GS450H inverter motor. It's Zombie. I think I can't remember. Stevens on Zombie. I think I can't remember if Rob's on Zombie.
I am.
You're not on Zombie, are you?
I'm
Tom?
on old school Prius Gen 3 board from Damien.
So I've got that. I've got the Outlander DC and charger, Outlander heater, Outlander AC compressor, and the Focky for CCS quick charging. It's been about 18 months, I guess. Done maybe 7,000 miles in it.
I think you probably do more miles than anybody in the EV DIY community, except maybe Johu on, except maybe Johanna's in your cars.
Yeah, although Ali Bro's just done 700 miles in a few days.
Fair.
Yeah. He's gone to a
Freelander.
meet in this country, so he's gone to a Land Rover meet, so he's done from wherever in Ireland, crossing the ferry to somewhere, and then back. 700 miles.
That sounds painful in a normal car, let alone.
I can tell you, I did that at
EV
Christmas time.
Like, is it going to charge? Is it going to charge?
That's not easy, man. That's not easy.
What, finding chargers?
Yeah, even in a regular EV, that's not easy.
So we'll work out a regular format as we go. We definitely need to do some intros. I think a regular piece will be what have we done on our cars this week? Stephen, I don't think you've done anything this week, though. To be fair.
I know. I've got some big news.
Oh, big news! Come on.
I did a weld today that actually looks like a weld.
What did you weld?
So The bit that fell off my car the last time I drove it, due to a bug in the zombie code, caused the piece to fall off because it wasn't welded well enough. So I put in a bunch of reinforcements. So this is the bit that holds the drive shaft in place, the prop shaft. And I have put many little kind of triangulation brackets to try and hold it on better. And it's always looked like absolute garbage. So I bought some gas. So I'm now not using flux cord wire, and I've set it up correctly, and I've done lots of practicing. And I finally did a weld that actually looks like a weld. So I'm really proud of myself.
Very pleasing. It's a big milestone.
But yes.
Do you see lots more welding in your future?
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat. I've got some things to finish off underneath the RX-8, but with the DVLA announcement recently has kind of made that a bit more exciting, because I think there's a bit of license to do some more welding.
Yeah.
And with the other project that I guess we'll talk about later at some point as well, there's going to be quite a bit of welding in that, and I'd like that to actually look nice.
Yeah. Well,
So,
we'll definitely dig into the DVLA. Rob, done anything on your car this week?
I finally finished the PCB I've been working on, which I'm going to use to run a fuel gauge. I have driven now for months without any working fuel gauge and just using the web app, Jamie's web app. So it's like I pretty much know the range of my car now. So, and it's consistently getting the same sort of same watt hours per mile, so I pretty much know where it sits. So I've not run out, but it's always disconcerting. You got no fuel gauge, no nothing, and it's like, am I going to run out or not?
Just as I set off on my longest ever journey in mine the other day, the fuel gauge decided to just completely stop. I say fuel gauge, my terrible battery voltage gauge, because I still haven't installed a working shunt to do that properly. Jamie, progress on your side?
Quite a few bits. The Ferrari that I've been helping convert passed its MOT. Yeah, questionable whether it should have passed its MOT or not. So I'm going. He's got to tax it and a few other bits next week, and then he's going to come pick me up, and we'll go out for a spin in that.
Brilliant. Literally a spin, perhaps, because this is an STU powered Daytona.
Yeah,
is that right?
It's got some shove. And also on my car, I've been messing with the MG Mark II V2 load and 6 kilowatt charger. So I bought one of those, played around with it, had it all working, thought I broke it, bought another one, had the same symptoms, found out that I'd messed up. So now I've got two of those that work. And
Nice.
what else have I been doing?
How big are they? Because I'm seriously the vehicle to load bit is really tempting.
They are similar size to the Outlander, but not as fat.
Yeah,
So
that's really tempting. And
Yeah,
you mean when you say not as fat, you mean not as tall, like?
No, not as deep. So if you squeezed it in a little bit.
That might be exactly what I need. We might have to have a conversation about this. I might have to throw some money your way.
You're more than welcome to throw money my way.
All of us take money right willingly.
Yeah. I've also been working on just a little board, basically a CAN bridge for. So it looks on the K CAN for when I turn the temperature dial into the little red region, so that it can switch my heater on. Those previous years, I've hijacked the AC button for turning the heater on, but now I've got AC. When I press the AC button, I need a new way of getting warm.
I mean, it's actually got working heating.
Yeah.
I've got heated seats.
Yeah, same.
Jamie's just showing off.
Sort of working, but not 100%. I think it's right. I'd say it's about. I mean, when I say sort of working, I don't actually get any heat out of the vents.
That's not.
But the CAN communication does seem to be working. Certainly the target temperature comes up on my display and changes with the knob moving. It's just that the heater doesn't actually seem to start heating up, so I'm not quite sure what I've done wrong.
Yeah, you need to get a CAN log.
Yeah, I do. There's lots of things I need to do. And instead, today my main news was that another DIY EVer, I didn't ask him if he was willing to be mentioned, and I sort of meant to film with him and totally failed. But anyway, he came up to take some spare parts off me today. But he's a mechanic with some motorsport experience, and so followed me in my car on a fairly wet, greasy surface, and gave me some good advice about what I need to do to improve my handling and stop my car wheels spinning everywhere.
Well, what did he say? I'm curious.
Mainly, obviously, I need more weight in the back. I need some better shocks, and I am running on sort of £100, the lowest possible budget Chinese shocks, because the ones on my car were completely rotten, like everything else on the car that I built off. And I haven't got around to replacing them yet. So better shocks, more weight in the back, hence my desire to move a charger to the boot rather than put it under the bonnet. And the width of my tyres is probably a bit of a problem because the actual pressure per square inch is quite low. He said I might actually be better off with some more skinny ones, but they don't look as good, so I think we'll stick where we are.
I don't know. In first gear of mine, any form of water, it's just wheel spins straight up, straight away. It's like at the moment I just cannot drive in first. Summer it's fine. This at the moment is just to put any throttle.
So normally it's only when you've got any lock on the steering wheel with mine. But yesterday I picked one of my kids up from her class, and we were driving back, and I went to set off from the lights, and it was wet out, but we had the hood down. It had stopped raining, and I didn't floor it, and the wheels just spun, and we didn't go anywhere. Might need to fix this.
And do you have an LSD, Tom?
No.
And we know Rob is on LSD right now.
No LSD.
Yeah. Right, let's get into news. And the big news is the change in the DVLA guidelines that you mentioned, Steve. Does anyone want to is anyone brave enough to give a summary?
It's just a load of rubbish.
Doesn't even make any sense.
The basic thing that is good for us as EV builders is that you can now make modifications to your chassis without the danger of having to then re-register your car as a Q plate.
As long as you don't touch anything what is deemed structural.
As long as you don't touch anything as long as deemed structural. But it seems to me that the list of things that are deemed structural is a little bit more flexible than what it was. So, for example, if you cut something, it can't be within 30 centimeters of suspension.
I think it's similar to MOT that if you've got like a rotten bit of sill, if it's missing close to the suspension and seatbelt mount points, you'll fail. But if it's bang in the middle, you probably won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar. The car might fold in two, but
yeah. So for example, the way that the RX-8 and MX-5s and Mazda sports cars work is that they have this beam that typically, if you do a modification, a drivetrain modification, you have to remove that beam from under the car, which is a structural piece that connects the diff to the gearbox. And then if you put in a different gearbox, you have to find a way of mounting that gearbox without using this kind of specialized beam. And the way that a lot of people would do it is just weld a bracket into the tunnel to mount everything to it. And that is the safest, strongest way of doing it. But because of the old rules, you couldn't do that. These rules, to my understanding, would allow you to do that because, welding something to the chassis underneath the car wouldn't count as a structural modification that's close to suspension, et cetera, et cetera. So for that point of view, for me, it's a big win because that means that I have a much more freedom to build something that's much stronger than what I have now, because my hands are kind of tied behind my back trying to use existing mounting points and things like that to build from. Whereas now I can build two, assuming that I'm able to weld them correctly, really strong brackets under the car that I have a lot of faith in. Whereas now I'm having to have some faith in the existing mounting points, which are kind of are only as strong as what they were designed for, which probably isn't strong enough to hold a drivetrain.
And critical point you make there, this is our interpretation. Like, none of this has been tested yet, and none of us are lawyers or
or brave enough to do it ourselves yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, none of us have tested this yet. I mean, the bit that is really important because there's a number of ways that might help a lot of projects. I'm going to face a similar thing. I'm taking out although, my new project car is a BMW Z3. It's currently got a 1.9 litre, 140-ish horsepower motor in with not an awful lot of torque. And I'm taking it out and putting in the drivetrain from an IS300H, which has got a lot more torque, a bit like your RX-8. And I don't really want to just rely on the existing gearbox mounts. Something a little bit beefier might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely.
So that'd be nice.
I was speaking to someone on Facebook who had abandoned their conversion project because they'd made holes in the monocoque, and they're now picking that back up because of these changes with the DVLA. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that's good. And
that is good.
And the guy with the Ferrari will be sending in his V5 to get the update. Obviously, that's a 78 or something, 1978. That obviously can be updated to electric. And one thing to note is the DVLA still haven't changed their opinion that the 2001 onwards cannot update the fuel type. So we've still got that issue.
Which, do you want
to be clear, is lunacy.
Yeah.
Do you want a bit of comedy when you actually change the fuel type? They demand that you send in a check. Do that paper thing. I had to go to the bank to order a checkbook. Apparently, I hadn't written a check since 2009.
What was the check? The check was to pay for the change of
fuel tax, because I taxed it as petrol when I MOT'd it, so drove it about and rest of that. And then when they finally accepted that yes, there was an electric motor in there, and yes, I've done everything by the book, and to actually change the fuel type, I had to send in a check to DVLA. You do not know how much of a pain it was. I had to go to the bank, then found the bank was closed, so I had to go to another bank.
So is the tax more expensive now? It's electric. The money was
yeah, it's basically for the pre-2001 ones. It's classed as if it was less than 1500 cc, so it's 180 quid a year. So it's basically the same as a brand new EV, unless you buy a Tesla, of course.
Yeah, mine is like £500 a year. So if I could get it re-registered, I'd be happy.
I re-registered mine the day before. Well, I re-taxed mine the day before the rules changed to give myself an extra 12 months of free tax.
Yeah, mysteriously, mine came through about 2 weeks after.
I mean, the bit that really one of the bits that stood out to me, apart from the possibility, it appears certainly a more openness to making modifications to the body without it just being an immediate computer says no. There's a line that says, converting a vehicle with an internal combustion engine to electric propulsion must only be undertaken by a specialist with the electrical and engineering knowledge necessary to carry out a conversion safely, which is an incredibly woolly statement. And to my mind, sounds like something that, for example, the professional conversion industry might have lobbied to put in there. Not wanting to cast any aspersions.
I'm reading the DVLA website right now, and it says modification should only be done by a specialist, not must.
Well, it may have changed then, because it says it did say must.
Are we not specialists yet?
So if I copied and pasted right in my email to the DVLA, they responded and said their response was intended to advise customers that we recommend a conversion is undertaken by a personal business that has the expertise in this area to carry this out to a safe standard, i.e. there's no requirement that they're a professional conversion company. It is a recommendation and advice, not a requirement, and there's nothing in law there. So I think it's fair to say that if you're going to tackle something like this, you should have a reasonable understanding of what you're doing, or at least understand what you don't understand. I think most of us have got dirty great holes in our knowledge that we've filled either through watching other people or actually in my case learning from you lot. But you've got to have a basic idea of what you're doing, but you don't have to hand it over to a specialist company with some sort of, there's no licensing scheme for who's allowed to make a conversion and who isn't, basically.
I think them looking at it would cost more my entire project. Just a consultation would cost more my whole project.
Another thing, I've been arguing with TfL to get my car on their ULEZ exemption, and they are so far refusing to do so unless I provide an invoice from, I forgot the initials of the conversion scheme.
The one that's for buses.
Yeah. So this scheme, they don't actually do passenger cars. It's only buses and trucks, but they want an invoice from them to put me on the ULEZ list.
That's bananas.
Absolute lunacy.
So yeah, hopefully we can have a call with someone from the EV Association
Yeah.
England in a couple of weeks. See if he can sort of progress that and come up
is
with
the
some
EVA
other way.
is that some sort of official
I think so, yeah.
organization? Is it just a self-started organization who have?
I mean,
kind of...
they're all self-started initially, but it's just a question of whether you've got a sense of scale, and they've got some level of scale now, and it does appear that government is listening to them.
or recognition, I guess.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I posted like about 2 weeks before the new guidelines came out, and before I knew they were coming out. I'd been frustrated by your experience, Jamie, and posted on LinkedIn about this and said, does anybody know someone in the office of Zero EV who I could speak to about this? Because it's ridiculous. And I did actually get an MP responding, not my MP, but an MP responding saying, if you get stuck, drop me a line. And she was very willing to help out. And actually, my own MP, when I messaged him about it, responded very quickly and with a reasonable level of understanding. I do think there is people will listen if we keep pushing this.
My MP doesn't anymore. I appear to be on the blog list.
Yeah, I mean, you're on his blacklist, surely, at this point.
You're gonna have a Reform MP soon, anyway, aren't you?
Probably, and they'll ignore me as well.
I mean, you never know. Right. Anything else in news that's come out recently? Any new versions of Zombie, new features, new software?
Yeah, so in Zombie, the latest release was cut a couple of weeks ago. It's got lots of smoothness fixes in there.
Which you're largely responsible, right?
Well, I've done one of them. So I was driving along, and now I've got the little display. So I changed the display to show me the torque requests for the MG2, and I noticed it was always jumping in increments, and it could not smoothly go between them. I thought, that's odd. It's sort of, you'd expect with progressive throttle, it'd progressively go up, and I kept noticing, like, especially at low speed, when it was judder, you was getting a lot of juddering, and it'd go from like 70 to 120, and it just jumped straight there, and then sometimes jump straight back when the car judgered. I thought that's odd. So I started looking at the code, and I wrote a unit test that sort of just spreads through the input of the potentiometer, and I noticed it was just the percentage. It was always an integer percentage, so it was losing the floating point. So it was always just going 1, 2, 3, 4, and obviously if your throttle was in between, it'd be flicking between the two, and that's where the juddering was coming from. So
yeah, because the throttle resolution isn't incredible, is it?
I think it's a 32-bit.
Okay, it's 496, yeah.
So of the potentiometer, but then obviously as it was going through the code, it was just getting truncated, and then that was used for various other calculations and things. And by that point, the torque request was either 70 or 120, and then flicking between them, which is obviously not ideal.
So is this what tore your car apart, Steve?
Yes.
Oh, well,
yeah, that and one or two other issues. But when I got my car MOT'd originally, I was using my own custom, not my own custom, but my own custom code on a version 1 board that Damien had created. And that worked perfectly. So I was able to drive to the MOT and back, and I was iterating through that. But the one thing that I didn't have was regen. And I didn't want to implement regen myself, because I didn't trust myself to start putting negative torque into the motor. So I thought, okay, well, they've implemented regen on Zombie, so what I'll do is I'll rip out the old box and wire in the Zombie, only to discover that regen isn't implemented correctly on Zombie, and was not so much so that it was doing very aggressive regen at very low speeds, to the point where it was like destroying my brackets and various other things under the car. So that has been resolved, as has this smoothness issue. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the next time I get everything back in place, it will be a much smoother experience.
Between that and your new welding proficiency, things might go a bit better.
I mean, absolutely.
I've had reports from Karim, who's got his, I think that's how you say his name, Karim. He's got his in an E65, and he says he can now do burnouts without it making the car judder and shake itself to pieces. So,
and that's what we all want, burnouts.
He's quite happy.
Maybe tyres are cheaper over there in the US. I don't know.
I got a bit of custom code on mine to let me do a basic clutch. So you press the clutch pedal and it cuts the regen out, so it allows you to change gear and also downshift under braking, which is quite useful. So I got
Nice.
I got regen, and then I can downshift as well. It's very rudimentary, but it works quite well. What I'm trying to do long term is I'm taking Jamie's don't know, his LilyGo display thing, and I'm reworking that to do a set of basically I suppose hall sensors with magnets, so I can tell which gear I'm in, so I can set the regen for each gear. And also,
Wow.
What I'm going to do then is also wire in a pot. So as you press the clutch pedal, it will cycle through from 100% regen to 0 regen. So it'll be, the clutch pedal will basically be like a progressive regen less button, which is it's on my
cool.
long burner project. I'm also throwing in an RTC module onto it as well, because like Jamie, we suffer from batteries going flat. And the
we all suffer from batteries going flat.
And the problem at the moment,
we're in our 40s.
It's low testosterone, Steve. That's what it is.
Well, it's really frustrating though, because I'm on a cheap night rate tariff, so I always charge at night. And problem is, every time I take the battery off, you lose the clock. So I've got to then faff about in the dark with the phone trying to set the clock back again to set it on charge at night. It's not fun trying to faff about with the web interface at about 11:30 at night when it's raining, because there's not enough range to get it. It's sat outside the car trying to connect. Damn you, connect.
Right. Any other business on the news side of things?
Don't
Take
think
that
so.
as a resounding no.
No, I don't think so.
What about cool projects people have seen? Anything new on the forums that excited you?
I haven't seen the forum in months because it doesn't work.
It does
Well,
work.
you need to go through.
There's this special kind of secret handshake you have to do in order.
But you only have to do that
it.
once in order to get in.
Yeah, but not exactly a good thing for kind of getting new people on board with.
It's called the No Steves. If you remember the symptoms.
There's on the interesting project front. I'll say interesting. If you remember Damien's video series on the deranged rover, that has come up for sale on Facebook, and it's quite local to me.
Oh, come on.
The missing floor.
Says the man looking for a new project.
No.
Come on.
No.
I'm guessing your welding skills would take a crash course for that one.
It's the one where the passenger seat's just floating in the air. There's a big hole in the floor.
Well, that's one way of testing the DVLA standards.
I noticed there's a new there's another Boxster project come up on the forum.
Yeah, they must be the second most converted cars after the RX-8.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know who it is?
Well, there's how many Z3s now? I know of 2 others plus my original one. So now mine makes the 4th Z3 that I know of.
So you own
possibly 5th actually.
So you own somewhere between 50 to 40% of the market in Z3 conversions.
In Z3 conversions. I think.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you carry
I think Damien's new project looks fun. I'm quite enthused by his yet another BMW.
I think the problem at the moment for most people now is the availability of cars to convert. With this 2001 thing, is it makes it difficult to choose what you want to convert, because it has to be incredibly cheap to be viable, because you're not going to get it as electric anywhere. So
yeah, I mean, it was a real question for me, because since I bought my Z3, values have gone up somewhat. Given that mine's incredibly low mileage, immaculate, and completely rust-free, unlike my previous project, there was a question of like, do I sell it and do something else? Do I, you know? But then I'd be back into the situation of last time, where I spend the first 6 months of the project just welding it up, which I'd rather avoid this time around.
I think that's what we all fail for, though, isn't it? We start with a cheap project and then take a crash course in welding. I mean, pretty much what most of mine was basically welding in new sills, welding in new arches, welding in the front.
You start with an MX-5. I mean, come on. You took the one car where the mechanicals are bulletproof and the body is a rot box and got rid of the mechanicals.
The mechanical's still just stuck in my shed at the moment.
That is a challenge for me now. I'm trying to work out, I need to sell the motor from mine before I take it out, because I've got nowhere to store it. I don't really want to be lugging a motor around. So I want it, as soon as it comes out of the car, I want someone to come and take it away.
To be fair, though, in my shed, the actual floor is bowing where the engine sat there.
Apart from the latest Damien video, which made me laugh, particularly with his attention to detail around torque specifications. Any new video recommendations? Been spending much time on YouTube?
Yes, but not watching conversions.
Okay, we've been watching Rob's red light videos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, saucy.
There doesn't seem to be many interesting videos at the moment on conversions.
No, yeah, it's been pretty quiet. I mean, I have this thing. I have this feeling over the last maybe 2 years that the appetite for doing conversions, certainly in the UK, has just nosedived due to regulations. So it'd be very interesting to see if these new regulations kind of reinvigorate that. But yeah, I think that certainly from my perspective, I haven't seen an awful lot of good content or good projects for the last couple of years.
That's why I'm back.
Absolutely. There's a gap in the market now.
Car prices have gone still completely doolally, though, haven't they?
There is that.
It's like even a wrecker at the moment is worth sort of a couple of grand. It's like, how's that work out? It's like,
on the flip side, batteries have nosedived.
That's true.
They are dirt cheap.
That's one thing I do not need any more of, is batteries.
Great for me, because I'll be in the market soon. I mean, I want to get everything ripped out first. I don't want to buy I don't want to have batteries hanging around. I want to buy the batteries the moment I can take them out of the shell and stick them straight in the car.
I could sell a VW one or BMW one.
I know exactly what I want now.
But would you be tempted now to make some small modifications to the rear end to get some batteries in there?
I think not with my first car, maybe. So when that comes off, I won't do. I mean, obviously, I want to get the new project on the road, so I can take the first car off the road and make some proper mods, like fitting an LSD, ideally, like upgrading the suspension, like finally getting heating working properly. Although I might do that before winter really sets in. It would be a good idea to actually have some heating this winter, given that I do have to drive that car fairly frequently now.
20 quid bet it doesn't get going till summer.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been saying we're going to get heating ready for the last 3 years. So. But the question is, do I bother cutting the body apart and putting batteries in the back? Or if the IS300H works out well and putting the battery pack in the front of the new one works out well, do I just clone that and have the same running gear in both? Because my terrible maths tells me that actually the weight distribution with the battery pack I'm looking at, and I haven't named it on the channel yet, but I'll talk about that at some point. But the battery pack I'm looking at plus the IS300H motor, the L210, might actually have better weight distribution than an original 2.8 or 3 litre Z3.
Wow.
So it's going to be roughly similar in terms of weight, and the weight is going to be further shunted backwards. Obviously, I'm losing some weight from the back with the exhaust and the fuel tank, But, fuel tanks are quite often empty, so you can't really count that.
It depends on when they measure them, because that's where you get a lot of variation. The Mazda, like what the book values is
dry weight and wet weight.
Dry weight and wet weight. Wet weight in Europe is 3/4 of a fuel tank.
Right.
So, it's actually quite a lot of weight in a light car.
I mean, I'm sure it's the same on the MX-5, but the fuel tank on the Z3 is plastic and it weighs absolutely nothing. So that doesn't really contribute anything to the back end.
No, but it's the weight of the fuel, because it's about 700-800 grams per litre of fuel. So you got 40-50 litres of fuel in the back. That's an extra 40 kilos.
I never have a full tank, but yeah. So I think that is a neat place to wrap this up. Crikey, we've been talking for over half an hour already. I'd say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this. We will be looking for guests at times. We're not always going to have the full panel of 4. I'm sure we won't all be able to make it every time. If you've got a project you want to come on and talk about it, please do. If you're in the industry, I think some industry people will be interesting sometimes. Love to have the EVA on at some point and question them. That'd be quite interesting. Love to have the DVLA on if you fancy coming and joining us.
Anyone with a working webcam, I'll take free donations.
So and we'll be sticking this out on video, but also on audio, and partly because I found that I don't think there are many good car podcasts that talk about projects, like project cars, and so the intention is to give people some audio content about project cars, because I want some, and if I want it, maybe other people do too. So thanks for watching, listening, whichever one you've done, and we'll be back at some point soon, and next time I won't be late. Bye-bye.
Bye.